Well, The Medal in the Drawer is the story of four young men from Belfast who go off to war, two Catholics and two Protestants, all of whom come from round about the Springfield Road. It's actually based on the story of my great-uncle Willie, who was one of the few Catholics in the 36th Ulster Division.
Any serious opposition from the German front line melted away like snow in a ditch.
As Camarade Fritz turned into vapor.
Or took Deus heels.
Like any sensible bugger would have done.
We fought our way up that bridge together.
You didn't know who was who, but it was done and dusted by lunchtime.
And tonight has been our final showcase evening here at the Lyric in the Knowlton studio, with all the groups coming together and performing some live performances, some films being shown for the first time, and a rehearsed reading as well. They all started off with Brenda Winter Palmer's play Medal in the Drawer as an inspiration, really, to get the creative juices flowing as such, as about the subject matter. And then it was entirely up to them what way they went in terms of what type of material they produced, and the specific stories that they tackled.
Action! Action!
Johnny! More! On this today!
Yay! We are the men of the hour. We kids! Our country needs you!
Earlier in 1916, the Western Front, nighttime, in the trenches.
Shut up, William! You're waking up the other lads! Do something! Take your mind off it! It's the only way to survive out here! Write a letter home.
I've stopped. What can I tell them?
Whatever's on your mind.
Dear Mother, a new pair of boots would be great. My feet are that cold in the pair that I have that it's hard to know where they end and my feet begin.
We're running short of bullets, but no matter. We can always fight them off with our bare hands.
I'm half starved.
They promised us bully beef.
But we've only had biscuits and water since Monday.
The good news is we're making progress.
Every day men are slaughtered for a few yards of blood-soaked ground.
I wish I was back home in the farm. Times were hard, but nothing like this. I've seen a rat as big as a chap feasting on the flesh of my fellow countrymen.
It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there.
Yeah, it made me work harder and just understand the story more and who I was, what character I was, and I felt like I actually was the person, like I was back there in that time. It's easier to act out and just telling the story. It's not enough telling just the story.
Why is it not
just
enough?
acting out the story makes it better and just shows respect.
It's really showing what happened instead of saying what happened. It's showing it more than saying it. So it was really good because you got to see, and then all the props and all really made it clear too, and all the noises and all, even the singing too.
Even the singing?
Yeah. It's just like you get to show it to people too, and then they understand, and then you can get their feedback from it, and then they can get their output on it, and then you really get everybody's sight on it too.
Why was it brilliant?
The dancing.
Yeah, I actually thought it was quite emotional because I actually did cry once when they lifted Ben up.
Yeah, and then where Samuel was dead and Samuel screamed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good too. It was very emotional.
You know, Carter knows, especially now we're doing the play, that it's all about remembering, but a lot of kids don't.
Right.
So they don't. And he's only got that information from doing this play.
From doing this?
Well, for Carter, he wasn't interested in it at all.
He was very
withdrawn.
He would have hung one around my leg.
Or mine, or whoever's he could. And it was actually the day before we were due to do it in the Larry
He wanted to
Theatre.
sing.
He just changed.
Like this one here is we've got help. No, that's what we need. That's what we needed. We need that help and guidance.
Yeah, as a starting point.
Yeah, as a starting point,
But
and then
you
we progressed on.
yeah.
So what I've actually learned with the Larry Theatre and with Antoinette coming out, as saying I would have used props. Where Antoinette actually showed us, what do you mean props? Use your body image. Use you. Use these people. Use them as as imagery. Me, I can say is confidence is in themselves in a lot. At the very start, I know you asked, sometimes whenever you talk about more that you forget about. The girls that you had at the start, I don't know if they giggled, but they at the start, I'm not acting, I'm not doing it. I'm not even getting on the stage, no. Constant, no. And then it's done it. So I see a big lot of a change in confidence. And the same with the guys as well, they didn't want to do it. His confidence, the other wee ones are confidence. There's, again, they've learnt about World War, which 90% of them didn't know anything about. I didn't know anything about. No, so they gain knowledge.
At home there's little food, all work and no play.
But plenty of chores to fill up their days.
The nurses and doctors have to do the men's bit.
Keep the hospitals open and the street lamps kept lit.
These women are heroes, survivors almost. Their trenches are factories, the fields are their posts. They have to keep going while the men are afar.
Actually taking part in something and you were learning from that rather than merely just telling us this is what you're meant to do. It's like a memorising and it makes things come far easier for you. To me, I think it was good for me and the likes of the other girl, Angela. Me and her don't like cameras and we're very camera shy, and yet when you're here and dressed as a character, that blocks out what you're doing. And I think you're just...
And she said she was lost during the day. She didn't even realise what she was doing. She just she wasn't being herself. She was just a
character. In a character.
It's a really good way of learning. It's really interesting the way we done it. You know, if you went yourself to research it and you would get a bit bogged down by it and think I can't cope with that, that's a bit too boring, and it's interesting sometimes, but sometimes it's a bit tragic and I can't go on with it. Because we were all together supporting each other and doing it step by step and making it really interesting, and you, Colette, have made it really interesting. It's easy to learn and you want to read again. We had fun, making it. We had fun doing it and learning through fun. That's the best way you learn. It's been an education and a really good emotional journey.
Wednesday the 7th of April, Marseille. Had a good night. Came down to breakfast late. Coffee, roll and butter. 12 o'clock. something very interesting has happened. An Irish doctor who has been in Serbia, now on his way home, has been to the hotel. It was very interesting, except the part where he says, if we are going to keep well and do any work, we will have to smear ourselves all over with paraffin, the only precaution for typhus. The death rate is 70%, and he is the only doctor left out of 19.
You never told me how you cried and how your childhood ended. You never made me grow up in the shadow of your sorrows, but always found pennies for midget gems and candy floss and sherbet dabs and ice cream cones and sliders. You urged us to the circus and spilled coins from your purse into the well you made in your lap with your apron to find the money for our tickets. And when I said I wanted to be a tightrope walker, you laid my skipping rope straight across the scullery floor for me to walk on and told me to keep trying, that practice makes perfect.
I suppose in a way what I've found is that sort of exploring it in drama, you get much closer to the emotion of the thing and also the kind of imagery. And I suppose I was talking to you, Linda, we were just talking, and your piece is so evocative, but the imagery, and I suppose it sort of highlights how much we have in common, rather than what separates us, is that the imagery that you were, about the suki orange juice, and you talked about rhubarb, and, that those are all kind of really, really shared things. So you can actually then put yourself in the position of you and your grandmother, although I would be, I suppose, from a sort of a nationalist background, but the things that we share, we would kind of share more than possibly what separates us. What it does as well is allow people to bring their own personal response to it, which is along the spectrum. It's not this side or that side or whatever, and you become so much more aware that the lives are interwoven, and it's not necessarily just two things that are, people were all this way and people were all that way. And they're all interwoven. But I thought the other projects, I just couldn't, there was just so much in them, and the sort of like cross-community aspect of it, and the kind of maybe risks that some people had taken, I thought, to explore, other cultures and stuff, or other sides, same side, other sides of the same culture probably. So that was my kind of and that was that stayed with me, I think.
Because I think you take more in, you become more involved, and when you become involved with the actual story, you become part of the story, and that's where your learning is, and especially for wee ones, I think. Especially for older ones as well.
I think the drama element is very important, because you could have gone and read that out to people or something, or done it as a lecture, and it wouldn't have had the same impact. But in a sense, you almost have a workable script that other groups could look at and imagine themselves into the stories that we have sort of written about or researched.
And you convey more in a drama. You can read about these things and convey the facts and everything else, but when you're dramatising something, you convey the feelings and the perceptions and the reactions.
But I sort of felt in some ways it'd be really interesting then, because that's the part of drama as well, putting yourself into another character, somebody that you're not familiar with. And I think that would be a sort of a natural progression.
I think the props made it very real, for me anyway. Having the props, having the, not just uniform, but the accoutrements and things there, makes it kind of quite easy to get into role, even if you can't imagine what it was like being there and things, it's a big help actually, That this reenactment here, was actually, this is much more real to me than anything I've ever written, and it's hopefully, improved the content of what I write, just doing it, and it's a whole different experience from imagining it.
I think the other thing is that, I find the process surprisingly personal. When we did there was personal stuff that was coming up, and that was surprising. really, but I mean, I find that, you know, on all sorts of levels, that was kind of really interesting.
And all the groups were interested in each other.
Yeah.
You know, and the bicycle stayed from the start. You know, and they were a great prop, and all the kids were going over and looking at them, and what the bicycles were like, you know, and it was just nice to feel there was that contribution and continuity, and everybody just listened, and as you were saying, the young people were
fabulous.
All right, Stephen. All right. How are you? I'm all right. You know, I've been meaning to ask you. You know, why'd you join up? Why'd you come over here?
Honestly, Jack, back at home, I was having a lot of trouble. And I was getting accused of things that wasn't even me. I thought I would join the army and hopefully get a better family. Hopefully get away from all the trouble.
A better family. Some family we've got over here, huh?
You're right there.
Do you know, I came over here with 5 friends, and I'm the only one left now. I turned 21 in this trench last week. You know, I didn't see any points in telling anyone that I turned 21. Because if I die here tomorrow, it doesn't matter what age I am.
You girls can't go down there. It's not safe, not even for a woman.
Maybe we shouldn't. You slut, get out of my way. Force my way past. I've children to feed. Go, Marky. Call yourself men. You should be away fighting with your own fellas.
Well, at least we warned you.
John Naylor, 8th Dublin Fusiliers, killed in action, gas attack by the Germans in the trenches of Hallac in France on Saturday the 29th of April 1916. Margaret Naylor, killed by a shot to the head with a dum-dum bullet. We're unsure if Margaret died right away, but was laid to rest on the 1st of May at Grangegorman British Military Cemetery. Recorded cause of death was fractured skull and lacerations to the main gullet. No mention of a gunshot wound. Parted in life, together in death.
I just know like many people our age are like being brought up and thinking about what their parents think, and we're not actually getting an insight in our own opinion on what we want to think. It's all what our family and friends, like not even our friends, all what our family think.
And that's just been passed on?
Yeah, so like I think this video will be good to get knowledge out there to people that are just taking information off their parents, which might not even be true.
Have you talked to your friends about what you're doing in this project?
Well, I said them like a few minutes and they're like, wait, what's that? And they're like, seriously? And then you have to like explain it over like a few times like.
And what do you say to them when they ask you what you're doing?
Well, like I've said about like because my father's in the trench mainly, so to explain that down, they're like, sure it's not the World War II. And then like but with like the whole class bit, like my mate Frankie, I've said to him about like you've even asked them what crossing is. I've not a clue. So, not many people know about it. Like what proper crossing is, like around here.
Even now, I don't think like people our age are getting to know a lot of things about the war. I think it's just going by like what the generations have been like. Now that it's in the past, I don't need to really like think about it now. But I don't think that is the case. I think like they need to remember life could still be like that if it wasn't for the people that's fighting for us. But it's what they want to grow up to think. But I think it is like guaranteed that you need to find out things that has happened in the past to be able to like even feel it heartfelt, if you know what I mean. But some people really do take it serious, like, but I don't think loads of people are getting to know about it now.
I think what this shows as well is that young people do get an interest in it, but there's a lot there still to know. I think maybe if we get an opportunity to do like research into the First World War, it would be like a project for us to really look into, to find out why it happened and how it all came about, and so they are learning the history.
I think the film would show people, like, it would make them think about what would they think of it if it was happening now, if it was their family that was actually battling.
I think if we were to speak to them, like, the way
This-
they
it
would
would
just be
just
like,
it would just like one ear and be like out the other ear,
but I think the film actually puts it into perspective.
Yeah.
Gobsmacked, totally and completely gobsmacked at the range of interpretation, the age group from 4 to, I don't know what the oldest person was, I venture to say in their 70s, and just the sheer ambitiousness of some of the projects. And what is very pleasing actually is that every single one of those groups has been through a process in which they've had to engage with their own history, and in many cases question their own history, and that is the most important thing about this project. For example, with the Rathcoole group who went down to Dublin, a group from a strongly loyalist, unionist, Protestant area, and they go down to Dublin and they make a film about 2 people from the south of Ireland. And I think that that's something that we all have to do actually in Northern Ireland, is to employ that mindset, is to put yourself in the shoes of opinions that are not necessarily your own. So I'm absolutely exhausted, but very, very, very pleased with it.